Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, over the course of his career, Simon Severino from Strategy Sprints has helped his clients to achieve an extra $2 billion in sales. How did he achieve this, and how can your business supercharge its sales? Simon joins us now to tell us more. Simon, start by telling us how you achieve such incredible sales numbers for your clients.
Good morning, Karl. Hello, everyone. First of all, it's 22 years in the making. And then I'm sitting together with the executive board. And in 22 years, I get only one question, Simon. How do we enter the market, crush it in the market, and stay in the market regardless our competition? So I've gone deep into one expertise, which is go-to-market. So how to enter a market, stay in the market. And I went really, really deep, especially digital marketing and digital sales. So when you do that for 22 years, it compounds.
From a digital sales and marketing perspective, what specifically has worked in terms of tactics?
Each sprint has a 90 days duration. And what works for Google and for BMW does not work for a solopreneur. So each sprint has a set of 20 to 27 tactics that we pull from 274 tactics in the Sprint University. So short answer, every sprint is different. The only thing that they have in common is we need to use a set of tactics from our reservoir of tactics, but which one to pull for each team, that's the mastery of having a sprint coach, because a strategy sprint coach really listens to you. Where are you? What's the gap right now? What's the sales gap? And what are the few tactics that will close it for you? So we will give different tactics to different teams, depending on where they are and what they need.
Now, the Strategy Sprints method endeavours to add repeatable sales, recurring sales, and passive sales. So how exactly does it work?
This is particularly relevant right now where many are scared of a possible recession or stagflation. So when you have sales, whoever is listening right now, think of your sales. How much happens once? How much you can actually repeat? So if you landed a dream client last year, can you actually repeat it? That would be repeatable sales. And when you have repeatable sales, can you add some recurring sales? That can be subscription. When you add recurring sales, now you are de-stressing your life and your team. Because if you have to hunt every month, everything completely new, that's a lot of stress on your team. You can de-stress this by putting some sales on recurring, and it's still stressful for you as a business owner. So as a business owner, we help our clients add some additional passive income streams like rental income, dividend income, staking income, royalties, IP license, and these kind of things that are actually passive, because when you have a mix of all of those active income streams and passive income streams, now you can relax a bit. It's hard enough to run a business. You don't have to make it more complicated. So we help them have a simpler life that they can enjoy.
And I know that you like to focus on ROL, which is return on luck. What is return on luck and how can it be maximized?
I was intrigued by the question, why are some teams winning and others are not? What makes the difference in their behavior? And there are two teams of researchers. We are no researchers. We are practitioners, right? We are in the trenches with the team. So we are in the thick of it. And so we asked the people who are in academia and are researching these things. There are two teams particularly. One is the team around Jim Collins, and one is a team in the UK. And they were researching what is the behavior that creates luck. So if everybody's working hard, which team wins? Because they are doing something different. And so we came up with 7 insights from their research. We have simplified those behaviors and are now bringing them to our clients in form of very simple tools. I'm happy to share those tools with your audience. They are at strategysprints.com/tools. They can find many of those simplified tools and processes and templates that increase your probability that what you do will stick out there.
So share those tools with us this morning, please, along with the relevant behaviors.
Overall, it is running multiple small experiments instead of having one big, long project. That's why we've broken down the 90-day sprint is 12 weekly sprints. So you break down work in chunks of 7 days, in tasks that can be completed in 7 days. So now you're making work much smaller. By doing that, you're increasing the surface. So you are now learning much more because you're covering more ground. You can stop activities earlier. If they don't work, you stop them after 7 days. And if they work, you double down on. Now you have decreased risk. That's the second principle, decrease risk. And the third principle is increase flow. How do you increase flow for a team? You reduce the number of activities. That's, again, the sprint method. And you increase the frequency of feedback. So if you're doing something, but you don't know if it's working, if somebody out there is actually having a better life or a better business, you don't have a feedback loop. And so you lose motivation and you lose flow. But if you do something for 6 days and latest day 7, you get feedback, now you are in flow. Means it doesn't feel like work. It feels like you are helping somebody, you are getting energy, you are getting feedback, and that creates a state of flow.
And of course, every salesperson has encountered objections in their own role, most of which are price related. So how should objections be handled? And more importantly, when should they be handled?
Yes. So we think of objections as relevant concerns. Everybody's concerned. Our way, we have 8 steps of closing the big B2B deal. Our 8 steps are all buyer-centric. So you really empathize with the buyer. They are around the buyer, not around the seller. So when you really organize around the buyer, you realize that they are in a ton of risk. They have to take big decisions. They have the risk of taking the wrong decision, of losing money, losing reputation, damaging image and brand image. So all the risk is on their side. That's why those 8 steps, they really have the goal to minimize buyer risk. And you can do this on the process side. You can do this with guarantees. You can do this with packaging. You can do this with pricing menus. There are many ways that we share with our clients on how to decrease risk. But the most important thing is to be buyer-centric. So to think of, okay, what's coming for them? How are they preparing for what's coming? Can you help them be ready for what's coming? And help them take the decisions that they need to take to be ready for what's coming. If you do that, you are decreasing their risk and you are building up trust and expertise in the same process. That's what you need to close the deal.
Your concept of unbreakable resilience could also help in dealing with objections, but how can this be developed?
If you create flow, you increase resilience. So what's the opposite of resilience? Big chunks of work that never get feedback decreases resilience. So make them small, 7 days, sprint. Measure every 7 days if the activities have impact on the buyer side. Are you helping somebody? Is it working? Are you making something simpler or better by doing that activity? And if you cut work in those little chunks, now it's more measurable. Now you get more feedback. And so it's more pleasurable. When it's pleasurable, enjoyable, now you have increased resilience because people who are happy to do activities because they're meaningful, they're impactful, and they're small enough that they can feel the impact frequently during the week, they have a much higher resilience. What's the opposite of resilience? It's giving up. It's either burning out or stopping to do something.
In your book, Strategy Sprints, 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business, you talk about how to eliminate the competition. So how does a business eliminate their competition?
By being more concerned with the buyer than they are. So how do you eliminate competition? I have a very long program about competitive advantage that measures 9 elements of how you can raise your competitive advantage. But what they all have in common, and some of that you can download on strategysprints.com, but what they all have in common is you outpace competition by caring more about the buyer than they do. How do you do that? By going deeper. I told you at the beginning that I've picked one topic 22 years ago, and I have stuck with that one topic, go to market. By doing that, I have allowed myself to go deeper and deeper and deeper into that topic. And so when you go deeper, you have more intimacy with what is happening, how does it feel for them, what's coming for them. And this is how you gain competitive advantage. Because if you know what's coming for them, if you understand them better, if you speak their language, those are all effects of having intimacy with their world. If you have a higher intimacy, that is even more important than credibility, because they are looking for somebody that understands them. And so if you have that, you have competitive advantage.
Simon, hiring good salespeople can often be a challenge for businesses. So do you have any tips in that regard?
Hiring is super, super hard, and it can take so much time from you. In some weeks, I'm using 30 hours per week to hire salespeople, and I have really tight checklists. Those checklists, they are in the book. Chapter 12 and Chapter 13 of the Strategy Sprints book are my exact hiring checklist. Now, imagine if I wouldn't have those checklists, it would take me probably 50 hours per week and it would feel like 50 years, just to hire salespeople. And sometimes, you hire the wrong people, they leave you, or you hire the wrong people, you have to fire them. So it can be super time consuming. Make sure you're using checklists and templates to keep the process lean. Otherwise, it will be a full-time job.
With AI set to have a dramatic impact on many industries, how could it change the world of sales and the sales process?
With AI, we all can send much more emails. We can create videos. We can create content. Now, again, how can you differentiate? What is the buyer looking for? The buyer is still interested in, can I trust them? Do they understand me? Do they see me? And do they understand me? So probably you cannot do that with AI. You can research them better with AI, and you can take documentation away from your team with AI. I think that's amazing. Have the AI do the research and have the AI do the documentation and use it as a sparring partner, as a thinking partner, which is wonderful. On the other side, increase the human factor, because the buyers will look for people they can actually trust. And this will be your competitive advantage. So let the AI do documentation, research, and everything that a robot can do. And you have more time to do the things that only a human being can do, which is really helping the other side by really caring.
And Simon, are there any other emerging trends that salespeople need to be aware of?
The buyer is more cautious. So we get the sales recordings every week from entrepreneurs. And where they used to close in 2 calls, now it takes them 7, 8, 9 calls. So there is a cautious buyer on the other side. That seems to be a trend. And that makes the sales cycle much longer. Now, you have to work against that trend. You have to shorten the sales cycle. Otherwise, your team will burn out. And so shortening the sales cycle, there are 3 things. One thing is to shorten the time from awareness to closing by using video and video messages and voice messages. The second thing is to make it easy for them to buy by improving the statement of work and the guarantee. And the third thing is to upsell, cross-sell. So they came for a specific solution, they stay for the community. How can you add a community subscription element to your business so that now you are shortening the sales time for the first sell, but also for the upsell?
And in terms of using social media to sell to B2B customers, what platforms are the most effective?
The B2B king is LinkedIn. We have also good results with X, but the B2B king is LinkedIn. If you are in B2B, you can probably cut Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube maybe, and just focus on LinkedIn. Most of our clients focus on LinkedIn, and we optimize that first until that makes $75,000 per month for them, we don't even start optimizing the next channel.
And Simon, finally, what are your top 3 tips for businesses that want to supercharge their sales?
The first one is, if you want to double your revenue in 90 days, look at 3 things. One is, can you increase the price by 25% without losing clients? That is done by improving positioning and messaging. The second thing is, can you shorten the sales time? We described it before. You use more videos and audio messages, voice notes, to shorten the sales time from awareness to your calendar. On the calendar, you use the 8 steps of closing the deal to increase the win rate. And the third thing is to record your sales recordings and to either use our method and our AI, which will give you real-time feedback on how to improve your sales call. You have to improve 2 things. One is how you say the price and when you say the price. The second thing is your talking time. You need to have a talk time below 30%. They have a talk time above 70%. If you can get your talk time to 28%, 29%, your win rate will skyrocket.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Simon Severino from Strategy Sprints, and everyone's business could certainly benefit from Simon's advice.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.